Good evening, everybody. It's with great reluctance that I interrupt so many conversations. Normally when I stand up here, there's sort of a gentle hubbub out there, but clearly tonight there's lots of bonding and discussions and dialogue going on, which given this crowd is a wonderful thing to hear. So I'm sorry to interrupt it, but we do want to say a few remarks this evening. My name is Phil Budden. I'm the British Consul General here. Welcome to the Consulate. It's lovely to have you here. I'm not the main attraction. That'll be Professor Parag O'Malley, who I'll invite up in a minute. But I just want to say a couple of things as your host here this evening. First of all, it's wonderful to have an opportunity to honour the work that's been going on today or tomorrow at the University of Massachusetts at Boston. So Parag O'Malley, thank you for being here this evening. I understand we also have the Dean, Stephen Crosby, and the President, Jack Wilson, all from UMASS, are very welcome here at the British Consulate this evening. We also have delegates from 5 very important cities, from Derry, Belfast, Kirkuk, Mitrovica, and Nicosia. So we're delighted to have all of you delegates here this evening. Thank you for coming. I'd also like to recognize US Congresswoman Nikki Tsongas. Nikki, where are you?
At the back.
Very good. Thank you for coming this evening, Congresswoman. I'm going to be very brief and just say 3 quick things. First of all, thank you very much for coming this evening, on which is a beautiful April evening here in Boston. So thank you for giving up your evening to come here and honor the attendees and the delegates who are attending these conferences. We're delighted to co-host it. We as the British Consulate are co-hosting with our friends from the Northern Ireland Bureau. We have Lorraine Turner visiting from New York, so thank you, Lorraine, for supporting us. And thank you for coming on such a nice evening. Fortunately, we're not competing with the Red Sox, because when I stand up at about 7:05 here, eyes tend to go over to Fenway Park to see if the first pitch has been thrown. We're deliberately not competing with them this evening, but you're still giving up an evening to come and honour the participants. The subject of your conference is cities in transition. And as we think about the world's apparently intractable conflicts, it's amazing how often cities, divided cities, are at the heart of these conflicts. Often they are flashpoints, but also, as we've seen, they can be real centres of reconciliation. So we're delighted that you've taken divided cities as your focus. It really is from bottom-up solutions in those cities, in those communities, that the solutions can be found. We as diplomats often think about conflict coming to an end because of top-level diplomacy, but actually we're sufficiently modest to realise that it's actually dialogue and community building within those divided cities that gives us the foundation to bring the conflicts to an end. Also this evening, I especially like to welcome a lot of our friends from the Boston Irish American community who are here this evening. And Kevin, it's delighted to see you here supporting some football team of other.
No, baby.
One can never tell. Kevin Cullen's a senior journalist from the Globe, but this evening is dressed up as a Man United fan. It's wonderful to have members of the Boston's Irish American community here this evening, because they in Boston have long played a role in taking forward progress on conflicts. And here I'm talking about Northern Ireland. It's members of Boston's Irish American community that often played a key role in bringing communities together, supporting bottom-up projects in Northern Ireland itself, bringing participants together here in Boston. People could come here 3,000 miles away and have conversations with each other, which weren't always possible back in Northern Ireland. So I want to honour those representatives of the Irish American community for the roles that they have played. And there may be lessons learned from this. The importance of a constructive diaspora in helping communities locked in a divided city to find a way forward. There are lessons here about the fact that the foundations are built bottom up, not just from top-down diplomacy. But I think there's also lessons about Boston and why this is a special city. We have UMass Boston here represented. There seems to be something about this city, the combination of the academic communities, the combination of the diasporas, that encourages conversations which don't always take place elsewhere. I'd like to finish with a brief anecdote also touching on Northern Ireland. Our former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, came through Washington in 2007, just as I was finishing up there. And he told this story, that in 1997, when he was elected, he was told not to spend his premiership working on Northern Ireland, This was an intractable problem. This had to do with land and religion, and divided communities and divided cities. And as he stood there at the British Embassy in Washington in 2007 saying his farewells, he chose to say a thank you to Irish America. Because 10 years later, having been told by people from the outset that it couldn't be solved, in 2007 he was standing there looking at real progress in Northern Ireland. There had been courage from the communities on the ground, there had been important diplomacy between Britain and Ireland, but there'd also been a key role for the diaspora, for the Irish Americans in helping to bring about that. So as Tony Blair said, being faced with this intractable problem, the solution, the progress, the way forward was a good day for optimists that conflicts can be resolved and divided cities can be healed. So I said I'd be very brief and just do 3 things. I thanked you for coming this evening. I've commended you for taking divided cities as your focus because I think those divided cities are really at the heart of those conflicts. And in the context of Tony Blair, I've hopefully given you reason for optimism going forward. These things can be resolved, and there are many lessons to be learned from all of that. Just as I wrap up, I want to thank a couple of people. First of all, Joe Pickerel, those who don't know him. He is the man who makes these things happen. So Joe seems to be especially well known by the Irish American community, which would explain some of the expense tabs he's been putting in. Keep it up, Joe. Joe and Lorraine are the ones who have worked so hard to pull this evening together, and it's just been my job to stand here and thank you all for coming. And with that, I'm going to pass over to Professor Padraig O'Malley. Padraig, please come on up.